All right, welcome to this evening's forecast. I'm Joshua Weisel here in the Weather 225 Storm Studios. I hope you had a good and a cool day out there so far today. And I know the day's wrapping up, but if you have plans this evening, hopefully you stay cool as well because it's going to be a warm evening. In fact, it's even going to be a warm overnight tonight to tomorrow morning. You know the drill as we head off tomorrow morning. So you're getting ready for the day. Make sure you dress accordingly for the heat outside because it's going to be another warm one. And heads up to parents, if you have students that are athletes headed to practice in the morning, make sure that they stay hydrated. If they're in the afternoon, make sure that they stay hydrated as well. If you're a coach or a trainer or a district leader, keep an eye on those temperatures on the wet bulb globe temperature tomorrow because it's going to be another warm and miserable day out there. In fact, it may even be warmer in many locations tomorrow than it was today. So overnight tonight, pretty self-explanatory, anywhere from 78 to 83. That's miserable. And if you ask me, I am really excited for when fall gets here. I'm really looking forward to seeing some lower 70s with those lows, then eventually maybe into the 60s and 50s. So hopefully some cooler weather arrives, but unfortunately it's not in the foreseeable future. So overnight lows, warm, humid. Tomorrow afternoon, another warm and humid afternoon once again. Heat index values could exceed 110 to 115. Maybe some localized areas of some higher heat index values tomorrow. We'll need to keep an eye on that. So it's going to be another miserable afternoon. Highs are going to range anywhere from 100 to 107. That's absurd. I tell you, I'm done with this heat. Stillwater's going to be pretty warm out there. Anywhere from 105 to 107 could be the highs in our Oklahoma County coverage area. Arkansas River Valley, equally warm, maybe not as warm as some of our Oklahoma County coverage areas, but still, that's going to be a miserable afternoon. We hit an official record high today in Fayetteville. We'll talk more about that here in just a little bit. But I got to tell you, there's part of me that really wants to go 102 in Fayetteville tomorrow. Not that it matters. It's that time of the year where I could tell you what the number is, and you're just going to probably look at me and go, it's hot and miserable. It doesn't really matter what the temperature is, right? But we're thinking it could be anywhere from 100 to 103 in Fayetteville tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see what Mother Nature does. And the reason there's a little bit of a spread is because Fayetteville, for instance, very tricky location to forecast in all complete honesty. This is why we like being transparent with you. Drakefield kind of sits in a valley, so some days it's warmer than forecasted. Some days it's 5 degrees warmer. I usually tell people this, 5 degrees warmer than everywhere else in Northwest Arkansas. It's 5 degrees cooler, right? So, just for full transparency, it could be that number that we're forecasting, 101, or it could exceed that. We'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow, but the current forecast is 101. No risk for severe weather, so the good news is we can continue just making our way past this graphic. Some interesting news is there's still a little bit of rain chances. Now, this is going to be similar to the last, 48 hours or so, where, we may get a couple of pop-up a little bit of pop-up activity. Not everyone sees it. It's really only 1 or 2 storms and then it's gone. It's not long-lived. That's kind of what we're expecting over the next handful of days, where could we see 1 or 2 little pop-ups? Maybe. There's also a chance we don't see anything at all. So low rain chances continuing in southwest Missouri. The Weather Prediction Center actually has some low rain chances as well, showing that, a little bit here and there in both coverage areas of Arkansas and Oklahoma, maybe a couple tenths of an inch, a little bit more further to the north and east in southwest Missouri, not quite in our coverage area, but still a couple tenths of an inch could be possible with any activity that may or may not develop. So we'll keep an eye on that. For the morning fog outlook, we'll show you that here in just a second. The good news is there's at least no reduced visibility with the forecast, right? The bad news is with the warm and dry conditions, we got fire weather conditions. So there's kind of a good and a bad to all of this with these temperatures. The bad news is because it's been so prolonged with the heat and the dry conditions, the drought setting in, and that's leading to fire weather conditions. Now, this doesn't include all of our county coverage area, right? Only a small portion of Payne County, Oklahoma, where we cover, but it's still something that's on the board. And what I'm not comfortable with is the next couple of weeks, we could still have this above average warmth and not a whole lot of precipitation. So we may be talking about this a little bit more often, that fire weather condition. So because of this, head on over to weather225.com, head on over to the regional forecast tab and click on that. And then the second item down should say regional fire weather conditions. It'll have this map that you see right here. It updates every day. But in addition to that, it actually breaks down per your coverage watching area. So if you're in southwest Missouri, there's one there, Arkansas, so on and so forth. So That's what we've got there. We'll need to keep an eye on these conditions. There's not a lot of burn bans in Oklahoma at the moment, but I have a feeling with these fire weather conditions that are building in and the lack of rain that we're expecting, we're going to see a lot more activity with burn bans in Oklahoma, even in southwest Missouri, because majority of the Arkansas County coverage area has a burn ban at this point. We've posted it on social media, so stick around for those updates every day. Southwest Missouri, there's no burn bans, but I think that's going to change as we make our way into the next couple of weeks, unfortunately. Now let's take a look at the Foghorns morning fog outlook. Like we said, the bad news is it brings the drought and fire weather conditions. The good news is for the morning commuters, not a whole lot of issues. The Foghorns morning fog outlook not showing any sort of issues with our algorithm here. So even the areas that are showing up in red, it's still 10 miles of visibility. So no issues for the morning commute. That's going to be pretty consistent going forward. But be sure to check in for the latest updates, see if anything changes with the Foghorns morning fog outlook. So super grateful to have them here on the channel. Again, we are so grateful to have them here at Weather 225 as a sponsor. And we just want to say thank you to them. And we want to say, to the viewers, be sure to support them like they support us. We got sports season coming up, right? It's going to be an awesome opportunity to head on over to Foghorns, enjoy the game, whether it's home or away. They've got some awesome wings, some great food, and it's going to be a fun environment with some Razorback fans this football season, right? So be sure to check them out. They're located in Fayetteville. Huge shout out to them, and we're grateful to have them here on our channel. That's a look at what we got coming up. I've got more bad news with that extended forecast. We'll talk about why this heat is kind of as bad as it is and if it's going to go away anytime soon. That and more coming up. Well, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. Drought update, some interesting news, not a whole lot of changes, right? So looking back and forth between last week's update and this week's update, there's no major changes to the forecast. So there's some good news for the time being. The bad news is, according to the Climate Prediction Center, we still have the opportunity for a sudden onset drought to continue over the next couple of weeks. So we'll need to keep an eye on this. This could get worse. There's also a high risk for extreme heat. So my concern is the drought, it's not the worst that we've seen it, right? But we haven't seen a whole lot of rain. It has the opportunity to get worse. And we've got more of that heat on the way that's going to be miserable. And that means that there's going to be some opportunities for fire weather conditions. So we need to keep an eye on that drought and the fire weather risks as we make our way forward over the next maybe several weeks. Here's a look at the record high temperature that we had today in Fayetteville. 102 is the official recorded high today. The previous record was 101 that was set back in 1956, and then it was tied again in 2007, and then we surpassed that today, 102 in Fayetteville. So there's a chance that we could get close to some records once again tomorrow. Stay here with Weather 225. We'll let you know the very latest on our social media and, of course, with these updates. Moving on, what's causing this heat? You may be asking, why is it so bad, and is it going to go away anytime soon? Well, I want to direct your attention to the Gulf. Notice that little H that's out in the middle of the Gulf there, southwest of Jacksonville. We got some strong high pressure that's further to the south and east, and that's creating some ridging. Notice we got high pressure over Charlotte. We got high pressure that's just to the south of Juarez, Mexico. So we've got this ridging building in across the region. And unfortunately for us, it's really bullseyed right over the county coverage area and into our North Texas areas as well. So that means that we've got the dry conditions, we've got the heat, and we've got that miserable weather sticking around. How long could it stick around? Well, it's hard to say, but with the latest guidance that we're looking at for the long term, I'm not seeing any sort of major relief on the way, and the weather pattern is still supportive for well above average temperatures according to the Climate Prediction Center. This is for days 8 to 14, and we're still under the bullseye for that. Some also fortunate news, it could really go kind of either way, is that we're in a normal pattern for precipitation. Now, the bad news is that doesn't mean that we're going to see a lot of rain, right? It just means that the little pop-ups that we're forecasting, that's kind of the normal, average, right? The bad news is we're not going to see any sort of major systems on the way that are going to bring a drop in temperatures and heavy rainfall. things along the lines with that. So there's some good news and some bad news. At least it's not the well below average that is covering up our county coverage area, but I'm not seeing any relief in the near future. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast, and I tell you, we're keeping a 10% just to be completely safe, and we want to be transparent with you. The afternoons going forward over the next several days, minus Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that's going to be the opportunity where you may get one or two little pop-ups, or you may see nothing at all. So just full transparency. Northwest Arkansas, triple digits for the foreseeable future, minus maybe Monday, Tuesday, parts of Wednesday. It's kind of hit or miss for Tuesday. There's a chance it could be back into the triple digits. But Monday, Tuesday, we have a weak system that's going to arrive. That's why those rain chances are a little bit higher. And I say higher loosely. It's not 30 plus. It's just at 20%. So maybe some isolated showers and some slightly cooler temperatures with that. So we'll need to wait and see what happens with that system. So really no major impacts or change of the forecast for the River Valley. Anywhere from 100 to 105 over the next several days. Now it will be a little bit cooler as it's looking for, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So again, it's cooler. Unfortunately, it's not going to be like that weekend we saw a couple weekends ago where the weather was just beautiful, right? It's going to still stay warm and miserable. Similar forecast to, the River Valley in northeast Oklahoma. Triple digits, really no relief in sight. Maybe a couple cooler mornings in quotations, but that's about it. Same with southwest Missouri. So miserable forecast on the way. I wish I had some better news. Make sure you check back for the latest updates here at Weather 225 because, of course, I know it's a boring forecast right now. We're looking for 500 synonyms for warm and humid to tell you, so at least it's not super boring. But we're here, regardless if the pattern's boring or incredibly active. We're here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're your one-stop weather shop for all things weather in Northwest Arkansas, River Valley, Northeast Oklahoma, Southwest Missouri. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in.